What's up, guys? It is Brandon from the TP Mandem, and welcome back to another Premier League prediction week 28 or week 29. Either way, I forgot to do. No, sorry, I wasn't able to do the last one because my big toe was literally sore, and there's literally a bit sore now right now. It's still sore now, but sorry, I got to make the video. It's just as simple as that. Don't forget to leave a like on the video, and don't forget to smash that subscribe button as well, ladies and gentlemen. We want to hit 2K by the end of 2020. All right, that is our goal, and that's what we're aiming for. A lot of things went down. Let's first start with my team. Obviously, we got smacked up by Bayern Munich. We're gonna go into the second leg against them. We'll probably get smacked up again. Arsenal, in fact, I remember when I know someone said to me that Arsenal were going to win the Europa League and get into the Champions League. And what happened? You were 1-0 up. All you had to do was literally draw the game and you're through. What happened? You lost and you're out of the Europa League. Alright, so get used to it. Alright? And Liverpool's unbeaten streak is over, ladies and gentlemen. It is over. Out of all the teams in the Premier League, Watford, ladies and gentlemen, Watford ended Liverpool's streak. And to be fair, if they'd actually won that game, they would have set an all-time streak. But fair play to them. They're still going to win the league anyway. But right now, I'm going to go straight into the games. Let's go. Alright. First game, which I was talking about. Speaking of undefeated streaks, Liverpool versus Bournemouth. Now, we'll talk about Liverpool's game first. It was... I don't know what happened to them. But it goes to show, people saying that how... if Henderson was in that midfield, they would have won that game, and they probably would have. And that goes to show you why, in my opinion, Henderson is the best player in Liverpool, right? It's good scoring all the goals, right? We can easily say, oh, the person that scores all the goals is the best player in the world. But realistically, it's a person that can attack and defend that are one of the best players in the world, if I'm honest with you, all right? Because if no one's able to hold the midfield up, then all the goals that have been scored won't mean anything, because you know what, you can't hold a defense up. No, sorry, a midfield up. Do you know what I mean? And it goes to show they miss Henderson. They completely miss Henderson, and you can just freaking see it, ladies and gentlemen. You can see it. Looking at Bournemouth, obviously they're versus Chelsea. We got very, very lucky to get a freaking 2-2 a draw against them. We freaking scraped it, ladies and gentlemen. We scraped that game so much. It was actually ridiculous. I've never seen a Chelsea team scrape a game so much. Our forwards are that dead, right? Deeper now. Our forwards are that crap, right? That Marcus Alonso had to go and get the goals, all right? Marcus Alonso, out of all players, had to go and score 2 goals for us. You might as well play him at centre forward. Right? Giroud, I don't know what happened to him. He just wasn't able to perform. Batshuayi, fair play. Fair play, put the ball in the back of the net, but he was offside. He's still crap. Like, I don't know why Frank is still playing this geezer, man. Like, honestly, I hope next summer we just toss him out of this club because he's just not good enough. I don't know why we bought him in the first place. He's just simply not freaking good enough. He's not good enough for this team, and he's not good enough for the damn squad. It's just as simple as that. We need to kick his asshole out of this club. But Bournemouth did play well against us, I'm not going to lie. They did pressure us a lot in the first half. Obviously, during the end of the first half, we had most of the pressure. But then second half, they came back. I think they scored. And then all of a sudden, they just sat back and they just couldn't handle the pressure. So, yeah, that's how we obviously got the equaliser. But for this one, Liverpool versus Bournemouth, I don't really see Bournemouth winning. Let's be honest, all right? Liverpool, obviously, they're not going to go undefeated. They're not going to be the new Invincibles. But we all know that Liverpool's going to win the league. Even Pep said that City can still finish strong and have a good season, even though they know Liverpool have basically won the title already. So, for this one, I'm going to say Liverpool 3, Bournemouth 0. Next game, Wolves versus Brighton. Now, when I look at Wolves, they had a very, very tough game against Tottenham at their ground, but they won. They came back twice to actually win that game, so fair play to Wolves. And they're looking like a top 4 team at the moment. They're looking like more of a top 4 team than Arsenal, if I'm completely honest with you. I watched the Arsenal performance, but I didn't watch. I heard about their performance against Portsmouth, beating them 2-0. I was like, fair play, that's Portsmouth. But it doesn't really matter then. It matters where you have to win and get through. And the Europa League, I don't know how you got kicked out of that competition. Like you're generally horrendous. Sorry, if you get kicked out of that competition. Man United and Wolves made it through, man. Like, come on. What's with Arsenal? But anyway, when I was talking about Wolves, fair play to them from coming back twice in the game to win that game 3-2 against uneven Tottenham side that have a lot of injuries. So, do you know what I mean? It's very tough for them with the amount of injuries that they have. But I'm still happy that Wolves whooped their ass. And for Brighton, obviously, very unlucky for them to lose against Crystal Palace at their home ground. Crystal Palace do display a lot of talent with the likes of Jordan Ayew, Wilfried Zaha. That's basically it. But you might as well call Crystal Palace Zaha FC, if I'm honest with you. But yeah, it was just very, very unlucky for Brighton. They weren't able to get the point. It was at their home ground. I don't really think they'll finish in the bottom three, if I'm honest with you. I think they'll probably finish, maybe 15th? I'm not really sure where they are in the table right now. Maybe in the middle. But like I said, it's just very, very unlucky for them. And Wolves, obviously, are pretty much confident from that freaking Wolves, from that Spurs victory, if I'm completely honest with you. So I just see Wolves win that. So for this one, I'm going to say Wolves 2, Brighton 0. Moving on to the next game, Arsenal versus West Ham. Now, ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about Arsenal, when we talk about the Arsenal, ladies and gentlemen, Arsenal Ross Clark Football Club. Let me get this straight, right? Let me get this straight. Obviously, they didn't play that match against Man City because Man City had their Carabao Cup final at Aston Villa, which I will talk about later on. But we're going to talk about Arsenal. We're going to talk about the Gunners, right? We're going to talk about their Europa League match, right? We're going to talk about how they didn't win that, all right? Aubameyang's first goal was remarkable, right? That's literally the best goal I've ever seen, right, in the Europa League and from like a Premier League striker right now this season. Like Aubameyang's world class, all right? I'll give it to you. I've said he's this. I've said he's overrated. I said he doesn't do enough, but I will give it to him. He is one of the best strikers in the Premier League right now. He is one of the best, all right? And you can't fault him for that. And his goal against Olympiacos was beautiful. The first one was amazing. Well, that's the only one he scored. The second one, though, he just missed it completely. And obviously, he should have scored it. I understand how he should have scored it. I was watching, was it AFTV? How she said you can't get onto Abba's back. You can't get onto Aubameyang's back for missing that because he saves the team most of the time. And I agree with you, all right? But realistically, you shouldn't have missed that. You should have put that in the back of the net. With a player of his caliber, he should have scored that, right? But at the end of the day, Arsenal fans, you cannot expect this geezer, this light-skinned guy, right? Like I was going to say light-skinned well, but you can't expect Aubameyang to save your arse all the time. That's what we did with Eden Hazard, right? As a Chelsea fan, I know how it feels, right? Because we relied on Eden Hazard to save our arse all the time. And at the end of the day, like, you can only do it for so long. And then we now, since Hazard's gone, we know what our team is, right? We know what our team is like right now, okay? Fair enough, we had a transfer ban, but without Hazard, let's be honest, we are simply not good enough, right? We are scraping top four. We're scraping it. We're scraping fourth place. The only reason why we haven't been kicked out of fourth place yet is because the teams around us have been playing like absolute arse. They've been playing like absolute arse, all right? But we have to win games because Sheffield United and Wolves and Tottenham and Manchester United are on our clock, all right? So we can't mess up. But with Arsenal, man, like, you can't keep relying on this guy, man. You can't keep relying on Aubameyang to save you all the time, man. And it's just ridiculous. It's really embarrassing how you get knocked out, like, this far into the competition. You didn't even make it to the final. Like, last season, you made it to the final and you just lost. Like, do you know what I mean? Now you're just not getting through. And I think Arsenal need this, if I'm honest with you. I don't think they should be in Europe next season. I think they should just focus on one game a week, so they can actually build a squad and just fully focus on going for top four or even competing. Put all their energy into competing for the title, right? Do I think they're good enough to compete for it? No. But when they have one game a week, it gives them time to prepare instead of just going into Europe and just setting up second squads. They'll probably find it harder to find more players. But at the end of the freaking day, their team's a mess right now, okay? And if anything, they still have the FA Cup, which I think they should just dismiss, if I'm honest with you, because they should put all their energy into the Premier League. And if I think they just focus on that one thing, which is the Premier League, and putting all their effort into that, then they're more likely to finish fourth in the table. That's just my opinion on it. I think they'll they'll be in a better place. So I think European football for Arsenal next season is pretty much the best thing. If a Bayern wants to stay, which they're gonna find it hard, so good luck with that. Now we're gonna talk about West Ham. Now West Ham beating Southampton 3-1. Fair play to West Ham on getting that win. It was at the Olympic Stadium, yeah. So good for them. I think David Moyes is doing a decent job so far. He has to still get more wins to just get above that relegation zone. I think Villa are. I'm not sure if Villa are in the relegation zone or not. I'm not particularly sure. But with West Ham, I feel as though they just need to hang on. They need to hang on. It's February. Season ends in May. They just need to keep up. They just need to keep that consistency up. Obviously, with the players that they have, they're not really, they won't really push you into the top half of the table. But it depends if West Ham do keep David Moyes, what signings he will bring in next season, and I'm interested to know what signings he's going to bring in next season to strengthen the squad even more, because I think that'll be very, very interesting. So for this one, I feel as though Arsenal, with that win against Portsmouth, I think they're in form. Right now, they're in form. They had a slip at Olympiacos, which really that's when it mattered. Obviously, the game against Portsmouth, it doesn't really matter as much, but at the end of the day, they still want to win a trophy. So for this one, I'm going to say Arsenal 1, West Ham 0. Moving on to the next game, Southampton versus Newcastle. Like I said before, Southampton losing against West Ham at their ground. I was particularly surprised with that because Southampton have, ever since they changed their manager, I think it was twice, they have been starting to win games. They've been starting to play better. So I was very, very surprised that they actually lost against West Ham. I honestly thought Southampton would actually, give it to them, but unfortunately they didn't, and it just wasn't their day. It literally wasn't Southampton's day, and they just didn't get the win. Do you know what I mean? They just didn't get the win. But they've made a massive improvement though, because I swear down they were in the bottom half. They were like right at the bottom of the table, and now they've just risen. So do you know what I mean? So fair play to them. Newcastle found it very, very tough against Burnley, who are still unbeaten in the Premier League, right? So Sean Dyche has done bits, right? And Newcastle just found it hard to really break Burnley down. I mean, Burnley is defending two banks of four. Very hard to break down. The Burnley are more of a long ball team, if I'm honest with you. So pretty much long ball FC. So they're just all the time just hoofing the ball up in the air. It was just very hard for Newcastle to break down, if I'm honest with you. I honestly thought maybe Newcastle would maybe edge that or win that, but do you know what I mean? They just didn't. They just didn't win it. So do you know what I mean? It's just really, really unfortunate for them. That's all I can say, really. Against Southampton, I think they'll find it tough as well. It is at the St. Mary's Stadium. I would say Southampton to win it, but they're not really good at home. Their home record isn't really amazing. So for this one, I'm going to say Southampton 1, Newcastle 2. I think Newcastle will be able to turn Southampton over, if I'm honest with you. I think a goal from not Joe Linton. 2 goals from St. Maximin and a goal from Danny Ings. So yeah. Moving on to the next game, Sheffield United versus Norwich. Sheffield United, who Premier teams are finding it very, very tough to beat Chris Wilder's side, if I'm completely honest with you, right? Like they're finding it extremely tough, and I think Sheffield could get into the Europa League, with like the way they're playing, the way they defend, have overlapping centre backs. I feel like Chris Wilder's team's actually pretty decent when you actually think about it. Obviously, the game was obviously postponed, so do you know what I mean? They didn't play last week, but I feel as though they can actually get into this top 6, maybe even push for top 4. I don't know. It depends how the other teams play around them, but do you know what I mean? Even Chelsea have to look out for them, because if we keep drawing and they win and they keep winning, they're gonna go above us, right? There's like 4 teams competing for that 4th place. Do you know what I mean? Potentially 5th, with the Manchester City situation, and there was it getting banned from the Champions League for 2 seasons. It could potentially be 5th, so you never actually know. So it'll be interesting to see what actually happens. With Norwich, fair play to them getting a win against Leicester City. Against the Leicester City team who have dipped off form recently. Jamie Vardy hasn't really been finding the back of the net. Norwich, That was that was a great win for them. I think they desperately needed that win to find any hope of survival in the Premier League. It was a very good goal. They desperately freaking needed that. If I'm completely honest with you, yeah, I think it was just good, wasn't it? Like, let's be honest, right? Like, this Leicester City team, I expected Leicester City to actually batter them, if I'm completely honest with you, but they just didn't. Norwich literally just took them to the freaking cleaners, do you know what I mean? And it's just as simple as that. Obviously, it was only one goal, but it was a beautiful goal, let's be honest. Ricardo Pereira, he could have done more to actually block the shot, but he just didn't. Like, he genuinely just stood there and he just didn't do anything. So, my man didn't really make that much of an effort to block it. And fair play to I don't know if it was left back or right back or whatever, but fair play to him. He banged it in, so, no chance for Schmeichel. I think for this one, it's going to be very tough, but I still feel as though Sheffield will win it, just because they're really solid defensively. So Sheffield United 2, Norwich 1. Moving on to the next game, Crystal Palace versus Watford. Before I even talk about Watford, we're going to go on to Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace getting that win against Brighton Albion. Fair play to them and how they played. It was a tough away game, but I think Palace are known for snatching away games, mainly against bigger teams. If I'm honest with you, they're known for beating bigger teams at away games, but against Brighton, fair play to them, man. Like, very tough game, but they got the win in the end, and you have to give them credit. If I'm completely honest with you. Now I'm going to talk about Watford, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to talk about Watford, Troy Deeney, and that. You know what I mean. I was watching the Liverpool vs Watford game. When Deulofeu came off, I think his knee went to. He just landed wrong with his knee when Van Dijk pushed him, and Deulofeu had to be stretchered off, and I was just like, freaking heck, like, they've lost. I'm not gonna lie, I instantly thought they freaking lost as soon as Deulofeu got injured. All right, but they brought on, I think it was Pereira or something like that. Write something in the comments down below if you think I'm wrong, if you know his name. But yeah, they just brought him on, and Liverpool looked very weak in that midfield. If I'm completely honest with you, like, they tried to create some chances, but nothing was really happening, and it was just weird looking at the Liverpool team and not seeing Henderson in it. Like, there was no stability. It wasn't, they couldn't really consolidate the midfield that much, and yeah, you have to give it to Watford. I mean, it was a brilliant performance from them. Fair play to Sarr, by the way. Sarr's goal was brilliant, where he chipped on Alisson. You have to give it to him. I think that was one of the best goals that they scored. 3-0 to Watford. That's insane. Watford ended Liverpool's unbeaten streak. Watford, ladies and gentlemen. Watford. Not Man City. Right? Not Manchester United. Well, it wouldn't be Manchester United. Not Leicester City. Not Chelsea. Not Spurs. Not Arsenal. Watford. I honestly thought that Liverpool would clock this team. I honestly thought Liverpool would genuinely beat this team and set a new record. But no, they just didn't do it. And obviously, it would have been nice to see Liverpool go, unbeaten. It would be nice to see the new Invincibles, you know what I mean? But it just didn't happen, and it was just very unfortunate for Liverpool. But at the end of the day, they should still hold their heads up high. But I just wasn't expecting it. I just didn't expect it at all. I just thought Watford would win that game, and you just have to give it to them, if I'm honest with you. And they're against Crystal Palace, and Crystal Palace better watch out against this Watford team. So yeah, but final score for me between Crystal Palace and Watford, I'm gonna say Crystal Palace 2, Watford 4. I think Watford would just genuinely clock them. If I'm being serious, Watford will just genuinely clock them, and it's just as simple as that. All right, moving on to the next game, Burnley versus Tottenham Hotspur. Unbeaten Burnley so far. Sean Dyche has really got this team moving. Obviously, I talked about them against Newcastle, how they got a draw against Newcastle, which is actually good because it's very hard to actually get a point at St James's Park. So fair play to them. Tottenham, on the other hand, Mourinho's team haven't been flowing as much. Pardon me. They've been losing a couple of games. I know they won one game against Villa, but that's because they made a mistake. They lost against Wolves, which I felt as though, I'm not going to say they should have won because Wolves are a hard team, but the fact that they bounced back twice shouldn't really be happening. I know they do have injuries upon injuries, and you can just see how that's affected Tottenham so much during the campaign of the season. And if Harry Kane did come back and the other players came back and Sissoko came back, then obviously it would be a completely different team. They'd probably get more wins and maybe they'd be, right in that top four slot. But they're just not. And do you know what I mean? Like it's just upsetting for Tottenham. It's literally peak times for Tottenham. I don't know what they're gonna do. I don't know if Mourinho's still gonna be there this summer, and if he's gonna be there this summer, he's gonna have to make some big ass signings. That's the one thing I know for sure. This man will have to make some Ross Clark signings, ladies and gentlemen, because God knows who he's going to sign. I don't know who he's going to sign, but this Tottenham team needs work if they're ever going to get top four. And against Burnley, I don't see them winning. I'll be honest, I do not see them winning. So for this one, I'm going to say Burnley 2, Tottenham 1. I generally don't see Spurs beating Burnley. And the way how Burnley play, their long ball, I just don't think Spurs were able to hack that at turf more. Sean Dyche's team is very direct. They like to play a lot of long balls, long diagonal balls, hoof it up to Wood, chest it down to James, Ashley Barnes, crosses from McNeil. You know what I mean? So it's going to be very, very tough for Tottenham. I just don't see them getting a result there, if I'm 110% honest. All right, moving on to the next game. Chelsea versus Everton. First, before I even get onto my team yet, we're going to talk about Chelsea. Everton. With Everton, they drew 1-1 against Manchester United. Very, very silly goal to concede, if I'm honest with you, from Jordan Pickford. Trying to play out from the back, lost the ball, just set it up for Bruno Fernandes, and Bruno Fernandes just puts it into the back of the net. And I think, if I'm honest with you, I know there was a lot of movement on the ball, but Jordan Pickford should have saved that. I think that was horrendous goalkeeping from Pickford, all right? I know Bruno Fernandes has been world-class so far in the Manchester United colours. He has assisted, he scored goals, everything like that. He was brilliant in the Europa League as well. He scored in the Europa League, so he's been a fantastic signing for Manchester United. But I feel as though Pickford should have saved that shot. Like, I think it just bounced under him, but I think it's a save that you should be making. 8 out of 10 times he should be making that save, if I'm completely honest with you. And I'm thinking to myself, you can't really be letting balls go in like that. It wasn't a powerful shot or anything like that. Don't get me wrong, it was a good strike, but I felt as though Pickford actually could have saved that when I actually watched the replay from it. When I watched it from a reverse angle, I felt as though he actually could have saved that shot, and you can just tell that it makes a massive difference. It just makes a massive difference, and it just didn't happen. So yeah, we're going to talk about Chelsea now. Yeah, we scraped it. We scraped it against Bournemouth. I saw the lineup, and I was a bit hesitant. I was about when I saw the lineup. Tammy Abraham, he didn't start the game. I think because he had another injury. Tried to bring on Pedro Willian, it just wasn't working. Tamori looked he just wasn't right. I mean, he hasn't played Premier League football for so long because obviously he's been out of the team. He's had an injury, but Jesus, they could have scored 3. They could have scored 3 if I'm completely honest with you. Like, Bournemouth's team are pretty good. All right, they are actually good with the likes of Josh King and Callum Wilson, and I think we brought them into the game too much. But during the first half, we could have scored more. I mean, we pressured them. We didn't let them get out of their half during the end of the first half. It was a brilliant finish from Marcus Alonso, don't get me wrong. But the goals that we conceded against Bournemouth, man, it just wasn't good enough. Caballero tried to save, what was it? I think Lama's shot up. I think that's his name, yeah. He tried to save his header, but he just couldn't. It was just too powerful. It was just unlucky for him. I think with the Kepa and Frank situation, I think he has to start Kepa in the next game, if I'm honest with you. Because we did pay over 70 million for him. We didn't pay 70 million for him to sit on the bench because frick's sake, man. It's a crap ton of money, all right? It's a crap ton of money, and I think Kepa has to play. I think Caballero overall, he's not better than him. He just makes a few more mistakes. I just feel as though Kepa Arrizabalaga just needs to show, he needs to show him. I think he's going to show Frank what he's got if Frank just starts him. And I think what Frank's done is good because it takes balls to actually bench your first choice goalkeeper. And it goes to show that there is competition and you need to earn and work for your spot. And it shows. Second, we got to give praise to Marcos Alonso. We have to give praise to him. This is the guy I cussed, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. This is the guy I cussed. This is the guy I said that was rubbish. This is the guy this is a player that I said you couldn't do this, you couldn't do that, and he's proven me wrong. He's the one that's scoring for us. Our left wing back is scoring for us, right? Our strikers are that dead. Sorry, not Tammy Abraham or Drew, but our strikers, our striking options aren't good enough, right? At this moment in time, that Marcos Alonso is having to score the goals, ladies and gentlemen. Our left wing back, our defender, right? And that shows you Chelsea's state at the moment. Realistically, we should have won that game, but I knew we weren't going to win that game. You know why? Because it's Chelsea, and whenever we first Bournemouth, we always have tough times against them. Remember at the Bridge when we lost 1-0? Yeah. So there was no way I was confident on coming to freaking Bournemouth's ground and saying, oh, we're going to get 3 points. We are lucky to get a draw. We were lucky to get a point, all right? And we're against Everton at home, and our home record is absolutely awful this season. And so I'm just gonna be positive. I'm gonna say freaking I'm gonna say Chelsea 2, Everton 1. I'm gonna say Chelsea 2, Everton 1. Right? Probably won't be like that, but I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna literally put my balls on the line and just say Chelsea 2, Everton 1. Because for frick's sake, man, we need to get some home wins. Right? It's good winning away, but we're not really winning away now. But we gotta get some points. We gotta get some points on the board. We have to get these wins. All right? And Everton's a very, very freaking tough side, because I remember last time we went to Goodison Park and we got clattered 3-1, all right, against a 4-4-2 system by freaking Ferguson, all right, and we should have won. We should have won that as well. But yeah, 2-1 to Chelsea. Next game, Manchester United versus Man City, the Manchester derby, ladies and gentlemen. That is going to be a freaking mad one. I don't know what's going to happen. Manchester United in the last game. Stupid mistake from David De Gea. I don't know what he was doing. He should just clear that ball ASAP. I remember, was it Roy Keane or Graham Souness said that maybe Maguire should have played it long. In the first 2 minutes of the game, you want to play the ball long and ease it out a bit, get into the rhythm of the game. But no, De Gea took too long on the ball. Calvert-Lewin closed him down, and it went into the back of the net. Took a deflection from Calvert-Lewin, and it went into the Manchester United's goal. And yeah, Everton were 1-0 up. And it's just, like, you want to be the best goalkeeper in the world, man, but you can't be doing dumb crap like that. Like, let's be honest, just boot it, man. Like, you can't be doing that. Like, it's just ridiculous, if I'm completely honest with you. And Manchester City, obviously going to speak about them. Carabao Cup final, obviously, they beat Villa 2-1. But Villa did show some heart and passion. Their lineup was crap. But I'll freaking get into that once I've said it. But I'm going to talk about Manchester City's performance. First off, I think they were brilliant. They should have scored more. If I'm being realistic with you, Man City should have scored more goals. Sterling was good. Aguero scored his goal. I think Phil Foden was all right as well. But I think the game really impacted when they brought on Bernardo Silva a little bit more. Rodri's header, realistically, that should have been a corner because, who is it? I think it came off Aguero. It came off one of the Manchester City players, and it should have been Villa's goal kick. But it wasn't. It was a corner, and Rodri scored from that corner. I think they should have VAR'd that shit, if I'm completely honest with you. They should have really VAR'd it, and they just didn't do it, which amused me. I'm like, mate, you're supposed to be using VAR, right? VAR should be used in all competitions. You're not using it in this one. And you can clearly see that the ball clearly came off the Manchester City player, not Jack Grealish. And to be honest, Villa got screwed. They genuinely got screwed. It should have gone into extra time, and maybe would have seen who won, but we didn't. So yeah, congratulations to Manchester City for winning the Carabao Cup a third time in a row. What's freaking new? They win this competition all the goddamn time. I don't know if they're still in the FA Cup or not, but yeah. I think it's Manchester United. I don't think Man United will be able to handle them. Obviously, Manchester United, they beat them at the Etihad, but I just think Manchester City will just turn them at Old Trafford like they did in the Carabao Cup. So yeah, I'm going to say Manchester City 3, Man United 0. Leicester City versus Villa. Villa are probably going to lose that. Villa's lineup against Manchester City was absolute wank. They didn't play Pepe Reina. They didn't play Trezeguet. They put Jack Grealish on the wing where he should have been in the middle. Fair play, though. Zamata got his goal. It was a very, very good header. But at the same time, Villa, they just could have done more. If I'm honest with you, the defending from the set piece play from Manchester City was absolutely awful, and it was just horrendous. And there's no way Manchester City should have got. There's no way Manchester City should have got a header from that. So yeah, with Leicester City, unfortunate for them, but freaking that they'll bounce back. So Leicester City 2, Aston Villa 1. If you guys enjoy this Premier League prediction, make sure you leave a like on this video, right? Don't forget to smash that subscribe button as well, alright? We're going to hit 2K by the end of the month, alright? I'll see you guys in a bit, and peace!